Hey everybody, it's your friend and your guy and your favorite YouTuber who's gonna surprise you with more Linux gaming content, Gardiner, the Linux gamer. I'm here today with a list of games that I'm actually super duper excited for in 2019. I have 10 games, believe it or not, that are gonna come out in 2019, or at least have been slated to come out in 2019. And yeah, I'm gonna take a look at these games. We're gonna look at the trailers. We're gonna talk about them. I'm pretty excited about this. So the first game on my list is System Shock. This is the re-release, the reimagining of System Shock. So I've been a fan of System Shock 2 for a long time. The modding community surrounding the game should tell you a thing or two about how awesome the game really is. I've had fond memories of having the pants scared off me as a teenager when I played this game for the first time. Now, you know, I didn't play this game until like 8 years after it came out. So when I went to go back and play the original title in the series, the UI was just incomprehensible, and I didn't have a good experience playing the original game. But that's why I'm really stoked that there's going to be this reimagining using modern engine, using a modern control scheme and you know, a modern interface. It gets me really excited for this title. The second game on my list is Monster Crown. So I don't think it's any secret that my second favorite RPG franchise is Pokemon, surpassed only by the Earthbound Mother franchise. Monster Crown kind of looks like Pokemon meets like Monster Rancher or something, you know, like that. And Monster Crown looks like one of these classic Game Boy games. I really appreciate the look of this game. Monsters of different types are able to breed with each other, and they can spawn different children depending on which types are actually breeding with each other. And you can check out their website where they have a breeding demo, and it shows you that you get different results based on which type of monster, which types of monsters are actually breeding with each other. The game is going to have, according to the website, a deep, dark story, over 200 monsters to collect, online battling and trading, and a sprawling world to explore. And I'm personally really stoked to get my hands on this game. It should be a good time had by everybody. Okay, next up is Godhood. Now, I've always appreciated a good God sim. Black and White 2 is a fantastic example of something like this, but even games like Command & Conquer or SimCity or The Sims, where you have that top-down perspective and you're you know, controlling little people on the battlefield or in the world, that's my kind of thing. I love that. So in Godhood, you're a newborn deity, and you have to create your own religion by, you know, micromanaging your believers. You instruct them in the ways of worship, you fight rival gods, and claim, you know, power for yourself. And with an art style that kind of reminds me of Age of Empires, like, I'm super stoked to get my hands on this one too. Psychonauts II is the next one on my list. Psychonauts is one of my favorite games for the original Xbox, which is probably my favorite console of all time. So the fact that like we're getting a sequel however many years later, what is it, 15 years later, that's pretty cool. And the fact that the original team, or much of the original team that worked on the first game is coming back to do this, that's mind-blowing and exciting. And you know, I'm a Tim Schafer fan. I really like a lot of his stuff. Some of his stuff I could take or leave, but I like most of his games. The original Psychonauts was one of the first games that I actually owned for Linux. It came with the Humble Indie bundle. I don't remember which one, but do you remember those? The Humble Indie bundles? Those were fun. Why don't they do those anymore? IGN, I'm looking at you. So now we're finally getting the sequel. I'm super excited. There isn't a lot of information about it. I checked their website. I checked they don't have a Steam page, apparently. But yeah, the fact that Raz is now a psychonaut himself, and he's joined the league of super spies that can, you know, read people's minds, that's really cool. I'm super excited. And the trailer had me hyped as hell to play, especially when you consider that it's going to be a proper platformer, because we don't have enough of those at all. They're really dirty. All right, next up we have Serious Sam 4 Planet Badass. The Serious Sam franchise has always been an interesting send-up of the mid-90s first-person shooters, which in turn were like satire of 80s and 90s like ultra-macho action movies. So Planet Badass looks as though it might be lampooning the likes of The Expendables, which I haven't seen, but, you know, this title looks like it's incorporating a bunch of new characters or characters that have been part of the franchise in the past. The Steam page bills the game as a focused linear experience, and they made a point of saying that it's not an open world game, so thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. The game also will have drivable vehicles, which I don't think has been in any other iteration of the game, and apparently you can drive the Pope Mobile, which is bulletproof, and that's pretty cool. And to top it off, Sam is bringing all his friends with him, and that's just delightful. It's gonna be cool to get my hands on this one. It's been a while since I played a Serious Sam game. All right, next up we have Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now, I've played and had fun with the newer iterations of the Tomb Raider series. I've been waiting for a new game to push my gaming rig Dargo to the max, and the latest entry in this series looks more stylized, more colorful, and more action-packed than ever, so hopefully this can push my gaming rig to the absolute limit. I just hope that this game doesn't fetishize Lara's death as much as the previous ones have, because that kind of makes me uncomfortable a little bit. The trailer seems to be pushing the narrative, and while I'm not super interested in diving into the narrative itself, I'm really excited to be able to inhabit this world again, and it looks more gorgeous than it ever has. Okay, next up we have Off Grid. If you've listened to a single episode of the Off Topical podcast, which is my podcast that I host with Raven 67854, then you know that Raven and I are super duper interested in online and digital privacy. Along comes the game Off Grid, which is a bit of a satire, a bit of stealth, and a lot of commentary on the world that we live in. The game foregoes the typical action espionage route in favor of weaponizing data itself. I think that's a fascinating concept, and the trailer looks incredibly interesting. The ways that you can visualize the data that you collect about people, the way that you can use that as a weapon against the people that you're spying on in the game, man, it looks so cool. The missions in the game are related to real-world events that are pertaining to data privacy and mass surveillance. And as a fan of stealth games and of titles that make you think, I can't wait to play this game. What the Golf? What the Golf? What the Golf? This game looks so cool. So I really enjoy golf games. I also really enjoy games with intentionally obtuse mechanics. That's where What the Golf comes in. It brings both of those things together in a fantastic and interesting mishmash. The graphics look like they're inspired by Katamari Damacy, and the gameplay seems inspired by, like, I don't know, Quap, maybe? In What the Golf, everything is fair game to whack with your 9-iron. That, like, a house, sure, why not? A pig, go for it. Why wouldn't you do that? Now, this game looks like hours of silliness and hilarity, and I just can't wait to get my hands on it. Next up, Under a Porcelain Sun. This game, holy cow. Under a Porcelain Sun is an exploration game set in a surreal colonial India. And the trailer is really what got me excited for this, because, you know, enormous tubes of toothpaste and giant faucets that are pouring milk out of them and stuff. It's weird to understand. I can't quite grok everything that's happening in the trailer because everything's so strange. But that's pretty cool. And I just really want to I want to see what this game is about. I want to explore this game. The write-up that you can find on the website is also quite hard to parse. It's pretty surreal. They're talking about wax people that melt every day at noon, merchants that live in wells, and decadent magistrates that live in castles of glue. It's very strange. I recommend go reading this and telling me, you know, in the comments maybe what you think they're trying to talk about. But yeah, because of the weirdness and my my penchant for oddities, I don't know. I'm pretty excited about this game. And finally, the last game on my list is in the Valley of Gods. If you know anything about me, if you know the kind of games that I play, then this should be no surprise. I was a huge fan of Compositor's last game, Firewatch. They actually just got bought by Valve a year or so ago. And that's really cool that Valve's actually buying companies again like they used to do, where, games like Portal and stuff, those came from even Left 4 Dead, those games came from outside companies that Valve, acquired. Even Dota was a mod for Warcraft 3, I believe. So the fact that Valve is doing that's pretty cool. Now, I reviewed Firewatch a couple of years ago when it first came out, and I really am a sucker for that kind of game. I mean, games like Tacoma and Gone Home and, even Firewatch, I really love those kind of games, where the story of the game is built into the fundamental mechanics of the game. That's where story really shines. That's how stories should be told when it comes to the medium we love. I don't care for the cutscene that takes control away from the player, and that's why Compositor is really good with narrative, and that's why I've enjoyed the game that they made in the past. This title, In the Valley of Gods, looks incredible. It looks like it's set in the maybe late 1800s or early 1900s, and they're exploring ancient Egyptian ruins. And there's not nearly enough information about this game that's out there right now, so I just want to just ignore whatever news might come out between now and the time it gets released and dive in totally blind and just have a good old time with a game, not knowing anything about what's going on in it. I'm super stoked. But that's my list. I want to know what you guys are excited about in 2019. What games do you think are going to be amazing? Let me know in the comments, or you can join the discussion over on forum.heavyelement.io. You can also, if you believe in the work that I do, support this show with a monthly contribution on Patreon, or you can pick up a t-shirt. There's a link down below. But no matter what you do, whether you hit that like button or share this video with your friends, don't forget to subscribe to see more from me, the Linux Gamer. And as always,